I said, I work in a school as a therapist changing to cyber. Okay. I get a lot of questions from people from all walks of life, Will, trying to come into this field because they see it has job security. Maybe they're excited by it. Maybe it's the money. I don't blame you at all. But now I've got somebody who is their therapist, and I imagine doing anything in a school is extremely stressful these days. It doesn't pay up. It doesn't pay what it should, I should say. So how do you get into cyber? The very first step would be to learn information technology. Learn the basics of information technology. Some of those sources that you can use, YouTube. You can go to YouTube. They've got some awesome courses online for free to check out. You might not want this field, so that's why I say go to free sources first. Check it out, see what you like, what you don't like. You got to learn the basics first, which is information technology. One of the things that you can do is go to the A plus. CompTIA A plus has a breakdown of all the very basics that you need to know about information technology. You don't even have to take the certification. You can just go through all the domains and learn it and then go from there. That's going to be your very first step. I guarantee you your school has an IT department. If I were you, I would keep my job and go talk to the IT department and say, teach me. What do you know? I want to learn what you guys know. Those geeks and nerds will fall off their chairs to help you. I'm telling you, because they always need help. So that's one thing you can do. Will, what would you recommend to somebody who's a therapist in a school who's trying to transition into this field?
Yeah, Bruce, you were spot on. That, like, I've consulted with a few schools, and what I'll tell you is there's never a cybersecurity person. Like, it's just IT guys that are overwhelmed with trying to manage Chromebooks and
Oh, that's so true.
teacher user counts
Yeah.
to school.com, or what was the other one that they were using commonly? They got a bunch of platforms that they tie into for their learners management systems. So they're doing a lot. And you volunteering to do cybersecurity stuff, hey, can I just help out? Like, they would just jump in, bruh, jump in, or ma'am.
Yeah.
That was a great recommendation. The second thing I'll say is on the privacy side of things. So schools have to protect personal information for kids, and I want to say it's
Right.
FERPA. Is it FERPA or man?
I don't
Yeah,
remember what it is. I think
yeah.
you're right.
I think it's FERPA. But so there's sensitive information that's associated with students. Talking to your admin office on what their policy is on how they protect that type of information. And the privacy side of things is another way to get a little bit more insight into what's going on there. So I think that's another potential spot that people might not normally gravitate to. And then as a therapist, the third thing I say is there's a real big thing called burnout in the cybersecurity space, especially when it
Yeah.
comes to like chief information security officers. So if you have the chance to interview, so as a therapist, I would go talk to the IT director and then talk to them about some of the challenges that they're facing when it comes to
Wow.
managing IT and managing
That's great
the
advice.
cybersecurity side of things. Because if something goes wrong, if there's an incident, if there's an outage, they're calling that network administrator. And they have to come in at all hours of the night, Friday night, Saturday night. They're having to miss meals with their family for dinner. They're having to miss, some people, if you catch them right before a vacation, they got to call off their vacation. Like, they're sitting and they're the only person that has access to that storage closet or the data center where you guys are
Yes.
storing stuff. They're the only ones that have access to a certain account to be able to do something. And you've got your incident responders trying to go in. They got to come back from their vacation. That is a hard, it's hard mentally to be able
Yes.
to manage that level of responsibility. And then how always being on call, for example, is
Yeah.
something that, like, if especially for me, I've been on call a lot of times, and I had to forego vacations. And I was in
Yes.
Korea, for example, when I was in the Army. I was stationed in Korea, and we had opportunity to go. Basically, I think the trip itself was paid for. All we had to do was pay for it. It was a trip to China, and it was going to, you could either go to the Great Wall of China or go to like the shopping district and go there. And the MWR, which is a mechanism that the federal
Wow.
government or
Yeah.
military uses in order to provide a benefit to service members, either free or very low cost, to get
Yes.
certain places. So I think that trip was like almost all covered, or it was just like maybe a couple $100, and then you can get a whole flight to round trip to China. And so my wife was able to go, but because I was on call, I was not able to go. So I was stuck doing my job and my role. And so that takes a toll, where you're missing these memorable moments with your family, because you're all about this is all about the business. So is the business impacted? Is the business functional? Are we able to do what we're supposed to do? And when it is not that, because you're the problem solver, having that on your head, it messes with your psyche for real. So I think
Yes.
interviewing those IT directors and just getting that, like, their mindset around there, I would offer that up, and then that could give you some perspective on areas to focus on.
Nah, that's a good idea. You could do a whole business around that. You could be a
100%.
therapist just for cybersecurity people.
Would make bank. Because so in zooming out to small businesses, or even mid-sized, or even corporate organizations, when these organizations get hit with cybersecurity attacks, they're looking at the chief information security officer. Even though the chief information security officer is not jumping on anybody's system and configuring anything, they're not the ones
Yeah,
patching vulnerabilities. They're not the one doing
yeah,
vulnerability scanning. They're not the ones
that's
like
right.
looking at their SIM logs and alerting anybody. Like, they're usually like the third, fourth, fifth person that anybody contacts when something is going on. And the life cycle, or the life of a CISO in an organization is usually it's like typically like 1 to 2 years, and that's it. They're out. Like, and a lot of it is burnout and getting blamed for stuff that they're not directly responsible for, but they got to go and put out that fire, or they have to
Yeah,
go and manage the public outrage that is coming at the entire
yeah,
organization. And then now they have to be the spokesperson that is shaping and helping the public affairs and public relations shape the narrative on what's going on, why this happened, and what they're doing to fix it. And it is a thankless job in a lot of
it's a
senses.
thankless
Again,
job.
like, you're not the one that's fixing anything, you're just the one that's, did you approve the policy? And then if that
Yes,
policy was approved, is everybody implementing the policy that you put out there? Like, you wrote the policy, but nobody's adhering to it. Is that the CISO's responsibility, or is that a management
right.
responsibility?
It
Right?
reminds me of what happened with the Secret Service director. I think that
Yeah.
she's taken the heat, but she's probably not the one who actually
Yeah.
put that. She probably wasn't the one that did the
She,
cordon or any of that.
she probably
So
wasn't even
she's
there. She probably wasn't
probably
even there.
wasn't hadn't, but she was in charge. So that's just how it is. It's very stressful when you get in security. Will said is a thankless job. Like, they see you when things go wrong, but they don't see all the millions of things that you've protected. That's just how that comes with the territory. That said, it's still a worthwhile career path. It is. It has been extremely rewarding. Not all jobs are super stressful. I've had jobs where all I did was write policies and that was it. I came in, I wrote a policy, they paid me a bunch of money, and I left. It was awesome. I should probably do that again very soon.